So I'll turn things over to David Moody. So David, let's see, I think I got my wrong note too, but that's okay. So David is a resident of Charlottesville, and he actually joined our Facebook page not long after he had purchased his Kia Niro last fall. So we were thankful for that. We have lots of followers on Facebook and on Twitter and Meetup and Instagram. So we try to get all on the social media channels. There'll be like different channels, so we always find different ways of connecting with each other. So I'm thankful for that. So David connected with us that way, and he actually joined our Electric Auto Association chapter last week. So thank you for that as well. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that at the end of this event. And so I'll go ahead and turn it over to David. He'll tell you about his Kia Niro, do a walk around of the vehicle, and then we'll take questions about his car as well as any questions that people have about electric vehicles in general. And welcome to those of you who have joined the call, and we're just now getting started, and I'll hand it over to David.
Okay, so hello. Enough of staring at me. What I'll do is turn the camera around and show you the car. So this is 2019 Kia Niro EV. This is the EX Premium, which is the higher trim level, comes in 2 trim levels. And so this is the front. It has the usual lack of a conventional grille being an EV. It has high intensity discharge headlights. It has LED driving lights down below. And the higher trim level also has these halogen fog lights. This is the charging port with TCS combo plug, as you can see. So for home, there's J7072, and then for DC fast charging, which I actually have yet to use on this car. So we'll see how that works. It also has a little LED light, which is helpful. It's a compact SUV, they call it. And the styling of the car is controversial to some people. Some people find it way too bland and mainstream for an EV. Other people like that it is that way. I'm kind of in the middle. It's okay. It's not outstanding, but what I like about it is its space efficiency. It has these blue trim things indicating that it's an electric, as well as the specific electric badge. It has a lift gate, and this is the backup camera. It's up here near the wiper, which is kind of an interesting change. So while we're back here, I'll show you the back. To show you the luggage capacity, I decided I would load it up first and then take it out and show you what fit in there. So we have 3 roll-on bags and a large bag, and then tucked behind there is yet another bag. Again, I like the space efficiency.
I always find it interesting that whenever electric vehicles are sold these days, like this happens with Tesla a lot, that they'll say, how many golf bags can you fit into your car? That's an interesting standard. It's either golf bags or like how many pieces of luggage. See, to me, a good measure would be how many grocery bags can you fit in the car? That'd be a good, a good standard.
I have neither golf bags. I have neither golf bags nor banana boxes, as Bjorn Nyland likes to use. Although in his tests of this car, it held, with the seats down, I think it held 23 banana boxes.
That's a better measure.
So I did purchase a WeatherTech liner, which did not fit exactly. It was a tad big, because I think it was designed to fit the hybrid. But as you can see, over time, it has lodged in and fits nicely. It does have the cargo cover here, which fits in. And what I really, really like is that you can stow it in the car. So there's this this space along here where you can actually stow the luggage cover, which I think is a wonderful, and I've not seen that on many cars. Of course, you can pull the seat down at 60/40 like most, which really gives you quite a bit of room.
It won't fold flatter?
No, that's about as flat. So looking straight back, it goes up a little bit, not a lot.
Yeah, one of my key tests for any car I buy is, can I sleep in it? Because it's better than wrecking.
Yes. So, well, sleeping in it, we can try that.
Especially now that COVID may be denying many of us our houses, so sleepability is maybe very important.
That's a big deal when it comes to like a Tesla. Everyone, they can sleep in their Model S or their Model X. So I'm not sure why that became a thing.
This is with my head right up against the back of the seat, and then
can't quite see. Turn it, tilt the phone down. There we go.
Like that.
Oh, okay. Is your back door shut?
No. I was going to show you.
Very nice feeling.
Oh, trying to switch the camera.
Ah. You got it for a second. Oh, okay. That's pretty close. So how tall are you?
I'm 5'7", so I'm not real tall.
Okay.
This is
So
Joe Baum. I have a Bolt EV, which has got a similar type of package, and I do exactly the same thing, sleep on a diagonal. And I have done it at campgrounds and charged with their, essentially a 50 amp service. But I push that passenger seat way up and tip it forward, and then you have to fill the void between the rear tilted seat and the front seat to kind of give you that little extra room. So it depends on height, but it's doable, and I've had a comfortable evening.
Yeah, that would definitely work. So while we're here, I'll actually get in the back seat. So the back seat is adjusted for, I'm behind the driver's seat, and I have 5 inches maybe of knee room. And then headroom wise,
Yeah, pretty good.
that's a fist. Yeah. It is a lot roomier inside than it looks on the outside. You could fit 3 adults in a pinch, but 2 would be comfortable. And it's got an armrest with cup holders. And it has, excuse me, vents for the back, as well as, well, you can turn them on and off. It has no charging ports in the back, which is kind of a disappointment. There is one here in the console that could easily feed back passengers if they needed that.
Yeah, you think an EV would have, seems like an EV would have power.
It has a lot in the front, just not in the back.
Right.
It does have.
It looks like yours is an. Sorry.
I'm sorry. It does have a sunroof, and I was particularly pleased to discover that it would tilt opening the back, tilt it up as a vent, which even my Subaru Forester did not do. It was just strictly open and close back and forth.
Oh, nice.
So I liked that.
It does look like you have a premium interior though, or premium package.
Yes, this is the premium. So as I said, there are 2 trim levels. It's about a $6,000 difference between the two. So we'll go up to the front seat. So here's the front seat area. So what I really liked about the Niro is if we kind of go down here in front of the console, so here's the shift knob, and then you have this space and a lower shelf, which, even though I've not used it, could be potentially quite useful for taller items. Um, 8-inch infotainment screen, which is pretty good. It's getting updated, I think, in the 2020 model year to the same 10.25-inch screen that you might have seen online in the Kia Soul EV. Here's the shift knob, reverse, neutral, drive, heated and ventilated front seats, heated steering wheel, parking sensors off. Of course, I've never touched that because I like them on. Here's the drive mode button. I'll talk about that. Auto hold, which is if you're stopped at a light and you've come to a complete stop and brake, you can press the button and then you can take your foot off the brake and the car will stay there. It won't move. Otherwise, it will creep.
Like an automatic.
Yes. This is another thing that I think unique to this car that I really like. So that has the cup holders. And those are my keys right now. But you see there's another space for one, but no cup holder. You press the button and it pops out. And then you can just push it back. It's spring-loaded. So you have the flexibility of having a larger open space or having two cup holders. And of course, nowadays, I keep my hand sanitizer in here.
Oh yeah, I keep a little squirt bottle of isopropyl alcohol.
So up front, we have a 12-volt socket, which I don't use. This is a USB socket for data. So that's connected to the Android Auto or CarPlay. And then a charging socket. And another nice thing is that this cord actually gets passed through an opening down here in the console. So it runs down here and then out here. And then I use it to plug in another phone that I use to monitor the systems with Torque Pro.
Torque Pro?
Yeah, I'll show you that in a sec. It's a way of monitoring lots of, it works through an OBD2 connection and shows you battery voltages and power and that kind of thing. It's a nerd level thing.
Yeah.
This is the climate control controls, and then the media and infotainment controls. And then the steering wheel has lots of buttons, which I like. Some people complain about that, but there's lots that you can do with minimal distraction from driving. So let's power up and see. So the middle of the screen here can be controlled here with a variety of options. Oh, it's unhappy because the hatch is open. Hang on. So there are lots of various options there. And then,
by the way, for those of you wondering, I had my video on mute as well, so to speak, because I.
Okay.
Notice.
So on the steering wheel, these are. This is the button that
Thank you for doing this. It's very useful.
Controls the menus on the screen, and then you can toggle up and down in your choices and press the button to choose a selection. Cruise control buttons, set, speed, resume, cancel, and then this is the button to set the distance between you and the car in front in the automatic cruise control setting.
Ooh, that's nice.
That is amazing. It's the first car I've had that's had that, and it's quite useful, and I love it. It makes.
So how does the distance?
Pardon?
How does that distance sensor work? Is it like a camera? You have to clean it off, or is it a echo sensor like it uses piezoelectrics? How does it know the distance?
It's a kind of radar. That
what is the function of? What is it? RF radar, or is it audio radar, or what kind of radar is it?
It's radio. I don't know if it's microwave or not.
Okay, so you don't have to clean anything off for it to work.
I have seen online that in the winter, if there's a lot of slush that builds up, it can be a problem. It can cut off, and then you'll get a notification on the dash. From what I've seen, that's not been an issue for me so far, of course.
Nice. Boy, that sounds like a nice thing. Does it hit the brakes when the semi in front of you hits his brakes?
Yes.
Oh, nice. So you can draft semis now.
Yes, you can set the distance very short. And say you're in the right-hand lane going 65 because you set it on 65. You come up on someone who's going slower. It will slow down, maintaining the distance. And as soon as you put your blinker on and change to the left lane to pass them, it will then speed up to the set speed.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. So here's the screen. On the left is sort of a big battery gauge. Right now I'm running about 50% because when the car sits for a long time, as it has been in quarantine, lithium-ion batteries like to be not too full and not too empty. So about 40 to 60% charge. Yep.
What happens if you charge it all the way up?
It's just more stressful on the battery, could eventually affect the life of the battery long term.
Huh, because lead acid's the opposite.
Right. Oh, yeah. These are very different. It's actually like the batteries in our phones. I actually have an app on my phone that turns on an alarm that I set to be at 80%. So when my phone charges up to 80%, the alarm goes off, and then I can unplug it and avoid charging it too full.
Huh.
And lithium-ion battery.
That.
Pardon?
I said I'll have to research that. That's interesting.
Yeah, and lithium-ion batteries like to be used. They like to be charged and discharged over time, as long as you avoid the extremes. And then here is a little sort of power gauge for, when you're accelerating or when you're regenerating energy. That's a little icon for the lane keep assist. The rest of it's fairly self-explanatory. So the middle screen I have on the drive info screen. So you can imagine there are pages going across the top, or I can scroll down, up and down this page. So there's drive info, there's driving style. You can see I've been driving like an old man. There's an energy flow graphic thing if you're into that. And then at the top, because you can see the little dots on the right tell you where you are on the page. That's been my average consumption since I got the car. So I've averaged 4 miles per kilowatt hour, which is pretty good. Could be better. I'm anxious to see how it will be in the summertime because electric cars. Pardon?
You said 4 miles per kilowatt hour?
Correct. So you can think of it this way. I pay 11 cents a kilowatt hour at home. So that means I'm paying 2-point-something cents per mile for electricity.
Oh, nice.
So that's cheaper than gas. Now, the battery in this car is a 64 kilowatt hour battery. So theoretically, you could do that math and see that it's about 250-mile range on a full battery. In practice, I've been charging up to 80%, and I get 223 or 224 miles at 80%. And then there's a larger trip meter that you can reset, which I've not reset in a while. So you see I've averaged 4.1 miles per kilowatt hour. And then back to drive info. And then I can hit this page button and we switch to that page, which is just sort of a compass. I've never used that. And then here, this is nice because when you're driving, you can check your tire pressure. So right now we're not moving, so it won't tell me the pressures, but you can check that. Lane departure warning, etc. So question about setting the car to a charge level? Absolutely. I'll get to that in a sec. And then here are all of the settings. Lots of settings. Driver assistance. So if I press OK on the button, I can see the driver assistance options. The lane safety, so you can choose lane departure warning or lane departure assist. That means if I'm driving down the road and the car wanders out of the lane, I'll get a warning beep. If it's set to assist, it will actually nudge the steering wheel for me, which bugs me. I don't like that. So I'd rather put up with the chime. What's interesting to me is that the sound of the chime comes from the right of the car if that's the side I'm leaving the lane on, or it comes from the left of the car if that's the side I'm leaving the lane on. So that's kind of cool. And then lots of other settings. We can get into those later if you're interested. So you can set the charge on the infotainment screen. So I press the EV button. And here's the information. So there's a little map and the circle shows you your range at the current state of charge. So with 45% battery right now, I could go that far. So it shows me 122 miles, or with the climate off, 124 miles. And then this is a very useful screen. This shows you how the energy is being used. How much is being used to actually move the car, how much is used for the climate, how much is used for all of the other electronics, and how much is used for battery care, which is heating or cooling the battery in extreme temperatures.
Cooling the battery? How do they cool the battery?
With liquid coolant, just like antifreeze water mixture.
Wow.
So they run, you know, the battery is in the floor of the car. It's long. It's called the skate design or sled design. So it's all in the bottom of the car, and they run tubing throughout the different battery packs. So there are 96 cells collected into modules, collected into groups. Yep. All right, so
that's pretty nifty.
Let me go back and we'll talk about how. So here's how you can do charge management. So I have not set my departure time because of the quarantine situation, but what I have set it for is Monday through Friday to leave at 8 a.m. and then weekends at 11. You can set the charging location, and then you can set the max charge. You can set it for AC. So right now I've set it for 60% because I don't want to charge it too high, but that's easily adjusted up and down. Up to 100 and then down to, wow, 10. And since I didn't change it, it just will accept cancel. And then you can also set a charge level if you're on a fast DC charger. And again, I've set that for 80%. When you're charging a battery, it charges the fastest when the charge is very low and when the temperature is warm enough and not too warm. So if you're driving in winter on the highway on a road trip, your battery may or may not be warm enough just from driving fast to accept a quick charge. But if it's in the summer or it's warmer or you've driven fast enough that it's warmer, it can charge faster at lower charges. Once you get up to 75 or 80% full, the charging rate really goes down. as a way of protecting the battery. So the strategy on road trips really is to drive the battery down to 10 or 15%, go to a rapid charger and charge up to 50 or 60 or 70% at the most, depending on how far it is to the next charger. So in this car, that could be, 175 miles or so.
Wow.
Between charging stops. So then there are lots of other options. How to connect the phone and the navigation and the setup and climate and all of that. So the climate screen, I never use this, but there it is. You can adjust, it's on fully automatic now. You can adjust the temperature up and down. Driver only is with this button. If I'm the only person in the car, then it will limit the energy spent on climate control for the rest of the car in terms of fans and that kind of thing. So it can make the car slightly more efficient if you have to have the climate control on and you're alone. Or if your wife's with you and you forgot and she doesn't notice, that works too. So what else? Any questions?
Car. It's a really amazing car.
It is. It's the first electric car I've driven, and I'll close that for the light. And the experience of driving an electric car is unique. It's quiet. There's no engine noise, of course. So you notice more tire noise and wind noise than you do in a regular car, though it's not too bad. And the other thing about the driving experience is how smooth it is. It's just, there's none of the banging around of internal combustion pistons going back and forth and all that's extremely smooth. And the other thing about the acceleration is just that it's constant. There's this constant urgency depending on how hard you press the pedal. It just keeps going and keeps going.
Huh. Keeps going and keeps going.
Yeah. This car has 201 horsepower.
Wow.
And 291 pound-feet of torque.
That's amazingly effective, considering that it's 4 kilowatt hours or 4 miles per kilowatt hours at that much horsepower.
Yeah. Oh,
wow.
Okay.
Hey, David, this is Michael.
Yeah.
This is Michael Keegan. Couple of questions for you, if you don't mind sharing. I believe you're in Charlottesville. I live in Richmond. I had debated buying a Kona electric. I looked at Kona and the Kia, and I was pretty sure I wanted a Kona. But the big deal to me was my Hyundai dealer told me they wouldn't service the car, and I would have to go to Maryland to service it.
Good question. Before I bought the car, I actually went to the local Kia dealer, and I posed that very question. And he said that they could service it, that Kia had designated this as a green area, whatever that means. And they actually had 2 technicians that were trained to work on EVs. Now, Kia has sold this car in hybrid and plug-in hybrid form for a few years. So they're, dealing with electricity is not totally foreign to them, but clearly this is a different kind of car. And so they did say that. I've not had to challenge them on that yet because I've not needed service. Frankly, I think car manufacturers are a little reluctant in some ways to go with EVs because they can't make money on service. There's virtually no service required except for tire rotations. You do have to change the coolant in the battery and cooling system, I think, every 100,000 miles or something. It's There's virtually no service.
Okay, so where did you buy the car?
I bought it in Maryland, in
Okay.
Rockville.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hey, Michael, that's a really good Michael, that's a really good question. So thank you for that. I'll add something to that. That in Richmond, I'm sure that's the case. I think hopefully in other parts of Virginia, but in Richmond there are also the independent mechanics and service companies are starting to realize that there's going to be more electric vehicles on the road, and so they're starting. There's also training that's available for them to train their folks on hybrids and all electric vehicles. And there's actually two dealers and there's two service centers in Richmond. One is called Max Auto Center, Max Service Center, which is in Ashland, and serves Ashland and Hanover area. And then there's Titan Auto, and Titan Auto has two locations in Chesterfield, and I think Mechanicsville is the other one. And they have mechanics who are specially trained and hybrids and all electrics. And hopefully as time goes on, more mechanics will see the opportunity that I think they're missing, because more dealers, I know that I own a Nissan Leaf, and thankfully I checked on that too, and there's one specialist who can work on my car whenever I need to have it serviced for whatever reason. Although I haven't had it serviced very much in the time that I've owned it. I think I've taken it in once for an issue that I won't go into right now. It was completely my fault, not the car. But the only other thing I've had to do to the car is change the windshield wipers. That's the cool thing about EVs, is that you don't have to do a whole lot of maintenance on them, which I think has created this challenge, because to the dealership, they're thinking, well, I'm not going to make much money out of this, so why am I going to bother to train one of their mechanics? So I just wanted to add that information in there.
Yeah.
Thank you. My concern came around if the battery dies or something dies, not just the main battery, but even if a 12-volt battery dies, because I've been on a Kona Electric Facebook group, and it seems like when that 12-volt battery dies, you could be pretty dead in the water, and I didn't want to have to get towed to Maryland to get my car serviced if I didn't catch that in advance.
Well, the good news there is that anyone could jump your 12-volt battery just like a regular car.
So it's not dangerous to do it. It's because it's connected in any way to the other battery.
Absolutely. They do not recommend that you use an EV to jump another car, but it's perfectly fine to get an EV jumped by a regular car. That's fine.
Oh, that's good to know. Thank you.
I mentioned the Torque Pro app before.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I wanted to hear more about that.
So I resurrected my old phone and installed it on there. Now, everything you see on the screen, I put it there by design. And so you have the average temperature of the battery. So right now it's 58.1 degrees. The battery management system says that I have 43.5%, but on the screen it displays 45% state of charge. And then the indoor temperature of the car is 74. Sorry, this is awkward. Oh, there it is. And so my current battery voltage at this state of charge is 357.
Any idea why the battery management system displays 45, but the actual is 43.5?
That probably reflects that the difference between the usable charge in the battery and the actual charge. Some manufacturers, except for Tesla, sort of hide the top 5 or 10% and the bottom 5 or 10% of capacity from you as a way of protecting the battery. Remember, I talked about it not wanting to be too full or too empty?
Yeah.
And that's part of that. So sitting here right now in the car with the climate control on, I'm drawing 0.7 amps, which is 0.2 kilowatts, just sitting here, or 0.7, depending on the cycling of the air conditioner. And then, because of those concerns you raised about the 12-volt battery, I added the auxiliary battery state of charge. There's 73%, and the current voltage is 14.8, and it usually runs that high when the car is on.
And what was the name of this app again?
Torque Pro, Torque. It's used in all kinds of vehicles. So there actually are some special files that you download that are applicable to Kia's electric cars, and put them on your phone and then install them into the app, and then you can do that. I chose to include, here's the cell voltage for each and every one of the 98 cells.
Wow.
And see, right now it's pretty consistent. They're all at 3.6 volts now. So 98 cells at 3.6 gives you the almost 360 volts that we saw early on. And
You
then
you need an OBD2 adapter to make that work, correct?
correct. And I'll show you that in a sec. And then this, the final screen on this, these are all of the variables that a better route planner wants to know for live data. So the phone will log this information, and then either on the road, if this phone doesn't have a SIM card in it, so either when I get home on Wi-Fi, or I could connect it to my other phone for network connection, it can upload those files to a better route planner, and it collects that data and uses it to fine tune how it plans trips for this car. So that's kind of neat. Again, I've not had a chance to use it. I was going to have my first road trip last month for a band trip to Virginia Beach, but that got canceled. So I'm still a road trip virgin.
Wow.
And then here is the OBD2 reader right here. It plugs into the port, which is right up here. So then
nice.
there's a Bluetooth connection then to the phone. And
so is that thing plugged into the OBD port? Is that also called Torque Pro? So they like sold as a pair, the app and the dongle that fits into the OBD port?
Good question, but no, they're separate. There are all kinds of different dongles you can get. There's some
What's
very
that one?
ones. This is a moderately priced one.
How much is a moderately priced one?
It was maybe 40 bucks.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, not much.
Do you recall the name of that one?
Let me show you.
OBD Link MX.
MX. There's actually kind of a newer version of this one, but you know, this one's even more than capable. You can read about them online. There's some issues with some in terms of the software, so just read the reviews and such about that.
Yeah.
Some are as inexpensive as $12, I think.
Yeah, I would say that I would add that Amazon is your best friend, because if you type in OBD, you'll get a whole bunch of stuff, and then just be careful and read through the reviews, because like David said, some of them people have had terrible experiences with them because they're junk basically, and then also on the Facebook pages and the bulletin boards for different owners groups. Like I have a friend who has a Nissan Leaf 2, and he had said he had gotten it.
Whoops, you're dropping out.
Yeah, we lost him.
Resource.
Is he coming back? Charles!
Hopefully he just walked away from the phone a bit.
Oh no, I was on mute. I unfortunately have to have the video muted because I'm having connection issues. So, but hopefully the sound is coming through okay. But
I think
like I said,
really... go on Amazon, right?
Amazon, your best friend.
Right. Watch the reviews. Right. And by the way, I like that you figured out how to put the picture of your family up. That's kind of nice.
Oh, thanks. I figured I didn't want it to be just like a disembodied head that sort of pops up on some of the Zoom calls.
I like seeing that kind of thing. I'm like, oh, I could put an image up. Apparently, I'm new to Zoom. This is my first time that I've installed it.
Awesome. Welcome.
It's pretty intuitive.
Apparently so.
Oh,
I'm actually
another
sitting in
important
my
thing.
shed.
Another
Okay.
important thing is about sun visors. So it goes to the side, but it slides back.
Oh, nice.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
There are a couple of guys who review cars, and that's one of their standard things. They'll flip it down, flip it back, and then see if it'll go sideways. Visibility out of the car is pretty good. I was driving a Subaru Forester, so it's not quite as good as that because the visibility out of a Forester is amazing. I've not had any issues. The side mirrors are smaller than I'm used to on the Subaru, but it hasn't been a real issue. There's blind spot warning on the car. So if you're driving along and someone comes up next to you, certainly the little light in your mirror will come on. But also, if you turn on your blinker as though you're going to change lanes into that lane, it'll really beep at you because there's a car in the way.
Oh, nice.
It has cross traffic alert in the back. So if you're backing out of the parking spot at the grocery store and someone is driving across the rear field of vision, or pedestrians, and you're in reverse and the camera's on, then it'll beep and warn you.